I'm at Sony HQ in Australia, in Sydney. The Harbour Bridge is over there, but behind me, some more beautiful objects, including Dan Kennedy from Sony Australia. Dan, we're going to go through the products you're selling this year. So two key things, the Bravia 5 and, of course, the Bravia 8 Mark II over there. Tell me about the Bravia 8 Mark II. This isn't the same as a normal upgrade from last year's OLED. What's the difference?
So we'll have both the Bravia 8 and the Bravia 8 Mark II in the market at the same time. But for those who want a little bit more out of their OLED experience, this is a QD OLED providing really good, accurate colors. And it is also the brightest 4K OLED we've ever produced here at Sony as well.
I guess the question has to be asked by why would you bother with the Bravia 8 then? I mean, should you still get one? And why would you get one?
There's two reasons. One, it's definitely a more affordable OLED.
Yep.
And that's number one. So if you wanted to buy a larger screen size,
yep.
Also you have that 77-inch available to you. So perhaps you're in a situation where your preference is screen size over picture quality, but you still want a really decent amount of picture quality, then the 77 Bravia 8 is an excellent choice.
Well, you've led me to the next question. I told you I'm going to ask, where is the 77 QD OLED panel in the Bravia 8 Mark II?
So when people look at quality in TVs, they're also looking at the overall experience. And overall experience comes from screen size. And so for us to provide the biggest screen size, we actually move up to the Bravia 9. So 75 and 85 inch. And that is the brightest, most colorful 4K LED TV we've ever made. That's the TV I was talking about before, where film producers are actually using that as their source of truth, as their master monitor to develop and cut and edit films and color grade films as well. So we still sort of look at that Bravia 9 and say, that's our flagship experience. And for customers that want the biggest screen size experience, that's what they should be moving up to.
There's no doubt it's a great TV, but for the record, there is 77-inch panels available to cut a TV. So that's the main reason. You want to keep the Bravia 9 as the next step.
Yeah, so the Bravia 9, we still believe that the amount of brightness that can produce and the screen sizes we can produce with that and the value that we can actually have with that particular panel, that produces the best outcomes for our customers.
While we're here, we mentioned LED RGB, and in the same breath, you haven't updated the Bravia 9, so it's still your top TV. So is that breathing space until you're ready to go with LED RGB?
So next year, we will actually have that technology out in the market. It produces a different experience for our customers in that there's going to be a huge amount of brightness increase and a huge amount of color volume increase because of that, well, the lack of filter layers between the backlighting system and the actual panel itself. So we believe that'll be quite competitive next year in the market. That technology we've been developing for quite some time. And I guess you'll have to just wait and see in 2026.
Well, others are coming out with similar technology and this year, but I think like Apple, you don't just want to roll it out. You want to make sure it's right. And I sort of get that feeling with LED RGB.
Correct. We're basically a panel agnostic company.
Yeah.
So we're choosing the best technologies and our own special sauce with that new XR processor and bringing it all together. And until that package as a whole is ready for the consumer, we're not going to release it to the market. So we want to be ready to produce a really good experience. That experience is just not, it's not right now, but in 2026, it'll be ready.
The other thing I want to ask you about, and you made a point, is it doesn't have a matte screen. It's purely projecting what the QD OLED. There's a big competitor that's going hard on matte screens, but you made a point about it. Why did you make a point about it?
So with our OLEDs, we have a patented technology called acoustic surface. So we actually utilize the glass on the screen as a speaker cone. That means where the voice is coming from on the screen is where you're hearing it, not above or below. And that gives you a really good sound experience. Now with this particular TV, we needed a very high quality clear glass to produce that sound. And that's why we've gone for a completely clear, high clarity glass panel for our best QD OLED.
It looks amazing compared to the Bravia 8. That's a huge significant difference. Is that all down to QD OLED?
It's down to two things. One is the actual panel itself and our own technology. So we've got a
processor, etc.
Yeah, so we've got the XR, which is our own technology, and that produces all the color science. And that Sony look and feel you'll get that. But we're about not just boosting up the brightness willy-nilly, we're also about color accuracy. So that's what that XR processor is all about, producing the most accurate, faithful reproduction of the content as possible. So we are the cinema professionals, we're an entertainment company, and there's no point having oversaturated colors. We want correct colors, and we want people to watch at home knowing they're seeing the colors and experiencing the film as the director had intended.
Even though the previous OLED was good, the W OLED, the QD OLED just showed you so many more shades even in that.
Yeah, so this TV is really, really high quality in the amount of colors that it can actually output. And it's got the most colors that we've ever had on a 4K OLED TV. So when we have a look at the difference between the Bravia 8 II and our A95L, we're talking about a 25% increase in total contrast and brightness. So in terms of the colors, but also the peak brightness that panel can actually achieve. When we're having a look at the Bravia 8, it's a 50% increase. So for customers that really want the best in terms of color volume and contrast in an OLED, the Bravia 8 II is an excellent TV for that.
Now, are you tricking us here, or what were the settings there?
So they're on the exact same settings, and for
What
people
were
at
they?
home. So currently,
So picture mode, what was the picture mode?
current picture mode that we're showing you guys are the absolute best settings for technical demos. But for the consumer at home, we have numerous picture modes, which are what's known as the director had intended. So if you're watching Netflix or if you're watching Sony Pictures Core, we have specific modes where what you're watching is as the director had intended. The correct brightness, the correct color is coming through.
Professional mode.
Correct.
All right, let's move over to the mini LED, Bravia 5. Just sum up what that TV is and where it sits in your lineup and what it delivers and what it doesn't deliver.
So the Bravia 5, it comes in at our mid-range, and what it does is it produces the most amount of quality in terms of picture quality with the least amount of cost. And so with that sweet spot, that TV will be our bestseller for the year. Because for most people, when they see it, it's very affordable, it's producing really high contrast, being a mini LED, and it just ticks a lot of boxes for a lot of customers. So it slots in where our X90L was. Again, an excellent TV, lots of color, but that particular TV was our bestseller last year, was a full array. Now the market's moved on. Consumers are asking for more contrast, more brightness, and that's what the Bravia 5 delivers in spades.
And they share a lot, this 5 and 7, but what are the differences there, you think, in terms of quality?
In terms of quality, with the Bravia 7, you're actually doubling the amount of contrast and color. So for a lot of consumers, they'll be able to see that in store. When they go into store, they'll see Bravia 5 and the Bravia 7 next to each other. And if, in terms of picture quality is their number one priority, then the Bravia 7 all day of the week. But if budget and screen size are priority number 1 and 2, then the Bravia 5 is a really good alternative for them.
I always thought the strength of Sony was natural looking images, but also motion. And I feel that you have more capabilities with the UI as well to manipulate the motion, what you want, sport, film, 24p, but you can dial in a lot. And I think that to me is what you see behind there. Even in the Bravia 5, really good motion control.
Yeah, especially when it comes to our processing, we have native 24 frames a second modes for movies.
Yeah.
So you don't get any split frames. Some TVs in the market can only do 25 frames a second, so you get that soap opera effect when watching movies. But we are the entertainment company, as I mentioned. We're bringing cinema home, and we want that true experience, the proper frame rates, all the codecs, Dolby Atmos, Dolby Vision, DTS:X, everything in one solid package. And we want to bring that to the most amount of customers. So whatever TV you buy from Sony, if you're watching movies and TV shows, you're going to get the best experience. Customers.
All right, tell me about your movie service, because you've got a service that does 80 megabits a second.
Definitely. Like typically what used to happen was if you wanted the best movie experience, you had to buy a Blu-ray player, you had to buy the disc, you had to buy a very expensive HDMI cable, and then you were set.
Yeah.
But with ours, you get 10 movies with our Bravia 5 and above, 10 movies to keep at the highest quality. So a lot of streaming is done at about 25 megabits a second for our competitors for 4K content. We're almost 4 times that at 80 megabits a second.
Yeah.
So we're doing 4K lossless Ultra HD quality to the home. All you need is a fast internet connection. And even if you don't have a fast internet connection, let's say you've got 50 megabits a second,
Sure.
then that's like a mid-range NBN plan. You'll still get twice the quality of some of the major streaming services in Australia. And that's direct to your home. No need for a credit card or anything. That's a gift with purchase with any Sony TV.
Can you force it to only stream 80 megabits a second?
So to get the 80 megabits a second, to have that consistent, you need a connection of about 115 megabits a second.
Right.
So if you've got a really decent NBN connection, you're going to get that top spec. But even if you're only streaming a little bit of that, it'll do what's known as an adaptive MPEG stream.
Right.
So it'll send you, our servers will send you the highest quality that your internet can handle.
Right. Does it take long to buffer when you first start because it's 80 megabits, or is it straight out?
It's pretty quick.
Right.
In your demos, you will see that it just loads up pretty instantly.
Right. So you've got a lot of acoustic sound off the screens here with the OLEDs. But just quickly, there's so many sound bars you've got. But let's talk about, say, 2 options that you're selling this year that people would get into. Top end and maybe the best value.
So for the top end, it's a build your own system. So
Right.
the Bravia Theatre Bar 8 or the Bar 9, you buy the bar and then you can make your own system. You can choose a range of Sony rear speakers and a range of Sony subwoofers as well. So you build that up and set it up for your room. However, if you don't want to do that, you can actually go for our System 6, which is an all-in-one system. So you get the rears, you get the sub,
That's the
you
one.
get the soundbar. It's all-in-one, 1,000 watts, and a really, really good price as well. In one package, it sounds amazing, as you heard.
Yeah, I heard that here. And this is a pretty big room, and there's not too much sound deadening, and it sounded amazing. All right, so you think the Bravia, just to close up, the Bravia 8 Mark II is going to be the new king of kings?
Look, we're really hoping that TV, it absolutely shines and starts winning some awards. And, that's a very exciting TV for the year. If you are in the market for the highest quality OLED, that has to be on your list.
All right, Dan Kennedy from Sony Australia, thank you very much.
Thanks, Giro. It's good to see you again.
All right, thanks to Dan and to the team at Sony here in Australia. What are your thoughts? Leave your comments below. Sony's new TVs, there's not too many of them, but I guess it's all about quality. See you in the next review on imagematrix.tech.